All right, let's get right into it here. Steve, Ryu, you guys signed at Selfless, signed a female CSGO team, formerly Team Karma, back in July. And just recently, they've been signed to Dignitas. Can you tell me a bit about that turnaround and why you guys sort of shipped them off so soon after acquiring them?
Yeah, so when we picked them up, we kind of got all the typical internet troll backlash of like female gaming and female Counter-Strike team and blah blah blah. And I think that for me personally, the reason that I wanted to pick up a female CSGO team is I saw as an opportunity to be increased, to have increased marketability and the ability to reach a different segment of the gaming space. And I think we did a really good job with that. The girls were always at events. They constantly did meet and greets. They were amazing in terms of visibility for us. And it piqued the attention of Dignitas, recently acquired by the 76ers. Anytime we have an opportunity to do business, we're going to at least sit down at the table and listen. And if it makes sense, it makes sense. And it made sense for us in this instance. So when we talked to the folks from Dignitas, they were super easy to work with. They kind of let their intentions be known. And then it just came down to figuring out what we thought was an appropriate price to depart with a group that brought us the visibility that the girls did.
Fair enough. And then, talking about the female CSGO scene in general, like where do you see that heading? Is that a rising star in the esports world right now?
Well, I think if you talk to any of the girls on like the top female teams, I think they all resonate with the same message of we're doing this and we know that we're not competing on mixed teams, but they do compete against male and female teams, mixed teams 95% of the time. There's, I think, 3 female-only tournaments in an entire year. But they all resonate on the message of we're doing this to try to pull in attention to get more girls gaming. So I think that over time, if they're able to accomplish that mission of bringing in more females into the scene, you'll see a little bit more. You'll see an increase in the quality of the teams as well as the quantity of the teams, specifically with all female teams. I think it's a great way for a lot of females that are super uncomfortable with just the way that they're treated on the internet, especially in the CSGO scene, to kind of get into a competitive. Get in the competitive rhythm of the game, to be able to compete in leagues and to play with people that aren't going to treat them the way that they would be treated, unfortunately, otherwise. So, yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow. I think they're going to continue to pull in eyes and ears, and it'll continue to be a little bit polarizing. But I think in the end, it's going to accomplish a good thing.
I just want to say congratulations. I mean, you guys got bought out by Team Dignitas, which is now owned by the 76ers, which is the first American sports team to buy an esports team. So congratulations, man. That's huge.
Yeah, I'm super excited, man. It's been difficult at times with all this external and a lot of it NBA money flooding into the space for an organization like ours to compete and to exist and to be successful. So where they have huge amounts of capital, I have things that their capital can purchase, and it's worked out in a lot of instances. And we sold a player in Breeze to Energy, which is the Sacramento Kings minority ownership group. And yeah, we were able to make a deal work with Dignitas. So super happy to continue to work with these organizations, and really happy that was the place that the girls went. It was important to me that if a different organization had approached us, I don't know that I would have felt the same. But in terms of all the external money that's flooded into the space, the CEO of the 76ers seems to have the best understanding of what esports is in terms of value to his brand and the business that they're building. So I was really happy that they were the ones that expressed the interest they did.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say, after the sale went through, you guys were still on your social media channels sort of pumping them up, being like, they're at Katowice, let's cheer them on, once selfless, always selfless. And that's not something that I usually see when a sale goes through like that.
Yeah, I mean, just it's probably I'm not much of a guy to take credit, but I would take credit for a lot of that you'll see from our organization, because I love those girls. They're all amazing people. They're good players. They put in work, all around, just quality human beings. And I don't think I'm not bitter that they're not with us anymore. I'm happy that they're taking that next step, and I think that going to a bigger org with more money just provides them with more opportunities to do the things that they love doing, and I can't be anything but happy about that.
Just on a little bit of shameless self-promotion here, one of those players, Linny, is actually joining me on a South by Southwest panel in 2 weeks down in Austin. So pretty
cool.
excited for that.
Yeah, I was actually, if it wasn't so expensive to get a South by Southwest badge, I was considering going. Austin is an amazing city.
That's super fun.
And my previous career outside of esports aligns pretty directly with a lot of the South by Southwest sessions and technology and, kind of the entrepreneurial things that occur there. And so I almost pulled the trigger on that. And when she said that, when she told me like, hey, listen, we were able to get the spot, I was really tempted to go, but I don't think I'll make it happen this year.
That's too bad.
If not for this city, I mean, go for the esports. Austin's great.
Yeah, Austin's going to be a good time. I'm excited for it. Just, I kind of want to loop back to what you were saying with them having lots of money, you having, things that they can purchase. Where do you see the scene going in that regards? Just all of esports in general. I mean, it seems like a lot of the smaller organizations are starting to play almost consultant roles to the guys that are coming in for money, and then they're scooping up a lot of the leadership of those teams and, pulling it into their own organization. So where do you see kind of the big growth avenues?
Yeah, man, there's a lot to unpack in that one. I do see more traditional sports organizations specifically continuing to enter the space. There was the news that came out today. If anybody has the Score Esports app downloaded and loaded on their phone, they probably.
I like that. Can you do that again?
What was that app? I should download it.
Where the dollar value for the Overwatch League spots is in some cases exceeding $10 million, right? I can't compete with $10 million. I would love to. And maybe like the New York Giants that I'm repping behind me here, maybe I'll get an email one day from their ownership that says like, hey, we're interested in this esports thing. But yeah, so if you're a small org like us, you're going to have to adapt. That's one thing I think we saw really, really aggressively last year is we constantly had to change direction. And when you're smaller, it's way easier to do that. You're just more agile and nimble than if you're this, monstrous ship that can't really turn too swiftly. I think that as those organizations get in, it's going to be a bad thing initially, but then I think long term it'll be a good thing. And by that I mean short term, they're basically there's no interest in making a profit. They have no interest in generating revenue. They want to make headlines and they want to squeeze out the orgs like us. So it sucks for us in that we know that that's their model, but it's good for us in that I know in order to build winning teams, I can find the players that they'll eventually have. So it is a little bit consultative in that aspect. I do think in the long run, organizations like ours will probably get absorbed by the big guys, and then the rest of them will probably play like a minor league, AAA kind of team. And I get that question a lot. I did an AMA on Reddit maybe a week or two ago, and I got that question about like, hey, how do you feel like your CS:GO team kind of becomes like a farm team, and you guys are feeding all these other orgs? I'm okay with it. If it's good for the players, it's a step up in their career. And I can sell it to an NBA owner who can write big checks, and that's the way that we'll survive. I don't think a lot of our peers are doing it that way, and I think that's one thing that makes us different. But I think it's something that'll be necessary to survive 2017, 2018 in esports.
I think it'll be. Sorry, go ahead.
He's got a plan to stay in the game, man. That's great.
Well, yeah, I mean, you basically, Ryu, just telegraphed my next question exactly, is that I was just going to say that, the Dignitas CSGO thing, what isn't the first time that this has happened? You had Relics going to TSM, Uber to Complexity, and so I was going to say, like, do you see yourself as a farm team? But it sounds like you've already positioned Selfless in that spot.
Yeah, it's the plus and the minus, right? The plus is that it's something that'll allow us to operate a business, right? It's revenue that I can generate, and it's a good thing that I can do for up-and-coming players to bring them in, to help them develop as people, first and foremost, but then also as players, and then transition on to that next step in their career. The negative is that I can't say to you, honestly, that I'm going to be able to build a CSGO team that's going to go out and win a major. Because, if these guys are getting paid 8, 9, 10 grand a month per player, a $50K a month salary for a CSGO team alone is just something that I can't stomach that. But if I can sell players and then again they take that next step, I'm okay with it. It's also, I would say, part of the fact that I'm willing to spend the time and invest the time into young and up and coming players, and also scout talent. I think there's a huge market for that right now, especially in CS:GO. And everybody is focused on other things, and that's just kind of the thing that I'm doing quietly in the background to make sure that not just this season, but 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now, I probably know the names of the players that are making an impact, at least in NA, and I can build off that.
That definitely becomes super valuable. I mean, the guys at the top are obviously going to just get more and more in demand as more money and more organizations get into it. So being able to get that next round, that next generation of players is going to be incredibly valuable.
Oh, key, absolutely.
Yeah, and I just want to be super clear. If I were to be approached by the New York Giants or a similar traditional
Are you
sports
listening,
organization.
New York Giants?
It's a conversation that we would love to have, because it would bring me no greater joy than to say, yes, I can cut that check and I can build the team that I want to build for North American CS, and I can feel confident that we're going to qualify for a major and make a run at a major and then eventually bring a major back to the States. I would love nothing more than that.
That's right. You heard it
You heard
here
that, the Giants.
first, man. You heard it here first.
Let's get some more East Coast esports going on here.
Listen,
Let's
we've got people like the
You know,
Houston. Go ahead.
It's funny. I was going to say, I did ESL Pro League as an analyst all last season out in Burbank, California, and I was just blown away by like that esports community in SoCal, and I would say just in California, because I think NorCal tends to be a little bit more fighting game, but there was just so much stuff. Like every weekend there was an esports arena event, or there was a tournament, or the University of California Irvine opened up like their own LAN center. They had a huge event. There was like constant esports activity.
Yeah, it's
Then I
crazy
come
being
back
up in
here
the
to Charleston, which it's a little old school. It's in the South and it's a little traditional, and there's like nobody. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
we're up
no
in Toronto
LAN
here, right?
centers.
So we get the same thing, right? Like there's some smaller events in Toronto. You occasionally get like big guys coming in here and doing one-offs, but every time we go down to LA, it's the exact same kind of feeling. Like, holy shit, like the scene is here. So being able, I want to bring that up to the East Coast, but
team houses, there's ESL, obviously, there's tournaments, there's LAN centers, there's college, collegiate support of esports. It's impressive, and then I come back here and there's just got none of that. So certainly appreciate it when I was there.
Well, Ryu, I just want to go a little bit deeper on the CS:GO angle. So you're not just the owner at Selfless; you're also the Counter-Strike coach. And as like a high-level CS:GO team, you guys play thousands of rounds, hundreds of maps a year, and that's not even counting practice. And we've talked a little bit here at theScore about burnout in the CS:GO scene. And I wanted to ask you, as a coach, as an owner, as a former player, what your take is on that.
That's a tough one, man, because I kind of pull in opposite directions on this, because for me, work ethic is one of the top things that I look for in an up-and-coming player. And I think what happens, especially in North America, is these players, they put in 100 hours a week, crazy hours. And, a lot of them are still young and going to school. So, they do that, and they sacrifice so much of their life and social life and family time and time with friends to get better at a video game, which sounds a little crazy if you're not familiar with what we do. And then it's like they sign a contract, they get paid, and then that drive and motivation kind of fades out. Sometimes it's burnout, but sometimes it's like their goal is too short, they're not aiming far enough down the road. So I love it when people put in crazy amounts of work, but in my previous career, I was that guy that then got burned out. So I understand completely why and how so many of these players do burn out. I just think, motivation is something you need to do. If you're not intrinsically motivated, you need to seek out external motivation very regularly. And you need to be able to know yourself well enough to say, okay, I'm burned out, I'm going to take a couple days off. What I think happens in traditional pro teams right now, CS pro teams right now, is players get kind of bored, and then they start playing other games, which detracts from their mechanical skill at CSGO, and then they continue to struggle, which frustrates them in CSGO more, which means they want to play other games, and then it becomes a cycle that repeats itself. I'm not a big fan of CSGO players spending 20 hours a week playing Overwatch. I personally hate that. I know a lot of people think oh, well, that's how they blow off steam, and I get that. I'm not a fan of it, but I understand people use it as an escape. I just think so many of these players are young and they don't have that level of self-awareness developed yet to be able to say, I need 24 hours of just no CS. I'm just not even going to get on my computer.
Yeah, I got to agree. I mean, I'm no team owner, I'm no player, and I'm no coach. But I mean, you like I just said, you guys play so much CS, and to go, quote, blow off steam by playing that many hours of another game, just, I don't know. It seems like you got to unplug a little bit,
I mean, I think that's the big thing that a lot of people that just watch esports, they always have it in their mind that it's a dream. I get to play video games for my income, but it's not, right?
You're preaching it now.
Yeah.
It's a grind.
Well, okay, you're taking...
People don't see the grind, man. No, they don't. They see it as I'm enjoying every minute of it because it's a video game. And it's but do you understand how frustrating it is to either not be good or to miss a shot or to miss a smoke, right? That's not really a skill.
Yeah.
But to miss a smoke you've practiced dry running for weeks, to miss that is super frustrating. And it toys with you, man. It gets in your head. It can be emotionally difficult to put in that kind of work at that level for that long. But people on the outside, they just see it as this dream job. And so many kids that I think will eventually be pro players, that's how they're looking at it right now too.
Well, you take a hobby, like you take my hobby that I do to blow off steam, and you turn it into my profession, and that changes the entire way you have to look at it, right?
Sure.
Like now, do I find another hobby to? No, video gaming was probably my hobby. So what do I do? Do I fix that now? I'm going to start playing with Excel for fun. Like I'm going to make spreadsheets in my downtime. Like I just need to do something different, right? I got to get outside and like hike. That's what I'd be doing. You got to go blow off some.
Oh, I understand.
Somewhere,
Like
but-
I got to hit the
we're
gym or
seeing,
something.
We're starting to see the emergence, kind of bringing it back to what we were just talking about with all these traditional sports organizations get in. I think they're starting to build out the necessary supporting infrastructure to make a lot of that less of an issue.
Yeah.
Like if you look at what Astralis has been able to accomplish by having like the fitness people and the nutritionists and the sports psychologists for them was huge. I think you're starting to see that approach of we're going to build out the healthy environment that teams need to thrive, not just CSGO teams or football teams or whatever, like actual just teams.
Yeah.
We're going to start building those things out, and I think that's going to help a lot with the issues of burnout and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important one for sure, and it's only going to get worse as esports gets bigger. Ryu, that is all the time we have today for you. I just want to thank you so much for joining us, making the time for us. If there's any shout outs you want to give, anything you want to clue us into, now would be a great time.
Oh man, what can I reveal? Anything? Let's see. No, nothing that you guys don't know that I can reveal right now. I just always want to say thank you to the fans, not just of us or of CSGO or whatever, just fans of esports in general, because without them, we wouldn't have this podcast, we wouldn't be attending these events, and we wouldn't have the cool, awesome life that we all live right now. And then shout out to sponsors, big thanks to MetaThreads and thanks to Clutch Chairs. And I appreciate theScore Esports. Make sure if you guys don't have that downloaded, you download it on your Android or Apple device right now. And I appreciate you guys having me on the show today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
man. Man, well said. Well said by
I like
Ryu.
that, yeah.
I think maybe Ryu is the new machine.
I was gonna say, Machine's got competition now.
Yeah, it's
he's
true.
got to be sweating. He's got that plaque that we gave him at the end of the year last year. And he's gonna be like, shit, like, this guy's gunning for it.
He's definitely watching this live stream right now, being like, okay.
Yeah, I'll step my game up.
I can do you one better.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. We're talking CSGO, and then we're going to get Greg Laird from Beyond the Summit on with us. He's here on Skype, so I'm going to clue him in. I know he's got CS Summit coming up, but there's so much to talk about with Beyond the Summit. So without further ado, here's Greg Laird. What's up?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. Up a little bit earlier than I would prefer after one of our summits wrapped up.
After Smash Summit,
Yeah,
too,
Smash
right?
Summit.
Wait, Greg,
Yeah.
where are you? What time is it?
I'm in California, so it's 11:20 right now. But
yeah.
we had the
Early,
it's not too
early.
bad. Early, yeah, but we had the after party for Smash Summit last night, and the Smashers get quite rowdy, so I was not home till late, but always a good time.
Yeah, Greg. I've been there for Beyond the Summit with the whole Smash Summit thing going on, and you guys are the best of the best. I love the behind the scenes stuff. But for those people out there that don't know Beyond the Summit, can you tell us everything you guys do there?
Sure, yeah. Beyond the Summit started as a Dota 2 broadcasting studio, very grassroots, out of LD and Gods' bedroom, and basically has been built into a multi-game production studio that does first-party content for our own tournaments and also third-party content for sponsors and publishers. We have a full office with like 3 casting studios and a full back set being constructed in Southern California, and then we also have our event house also in Southern California, where we hold our summit events, which we have become quite well known for.
Yes, indeed, man. And I will say the production quality and everything there is top notch. The amount of equipment and stuff you got is unreal. But besides all this, you set the benchmark of success for broadcast. The other thing is that you host really, really fun tournaments with cool cash prizes that also you get to see, the players behind the scenes, the funny one-off videos that you do, and even getting these guys casting and stuff like that. So you get to see a different side. It's major access. It's super cool.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't familiar with the summit, basically the thing that's important for us about the event is that it's always about the players and bringing the viewers in closer connection with the players. So basically the whole event is built around that, from having casters on the couch to all of this extra content that we put out during the event. That is sort of like the most community driven content you could ever find. It's just straight up like Smash memes, but extremely well produced, really well shot, and I think it's a lot of content that most esports scenes haven't really gotten a really good taste of yet, and I think it's like a huge part of what makes summits the summit, especially at this point. People have really come to expect that like level of content in those kinds of videos. So I think it's really, people really like our events just because of how in touch we are with the community and how much we've shaped these events to give them something that they can't really get anywhere else. It's kind of crazy. We've gotten to the point in esports events where stadium events are like the standard. It's like, okay, it's another stadium event. Cool. Seen this before. And now we're at the point where a house event is actually the novelty, which is, where we started with a lot of this gaming. So interesting, 180 there, but the fans also, obviously the fans like our events for the reasons I talked about. The players also really like coming to our events because, it's really low stress. There's no fans to interrupt them. They can focus completely on the game. We take good care of them, feed them, drive them around, whatever they need.
Yeah, shout out to the food. Having personally experienced the food a couple times, shout out to the food.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of people always, the Smashers always really talk about how much they like the food.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I just to kind of go back to dealing with the community. One thing that I really like that you guys did. Obviously, I have a bit of a bias here, but I think those 2 or 3 Dota events ago. The commercialization of esports is always something that you kind of have to toe the line with the community a lot. And you guys got some negative feedback on overrunning ads, and then to kind of counter that right away, you did a great Wayne's World video. That was I still think one of the memeiest, funniest videos has come out in esports in the last 2 years. And I love that approach. It's kind of like the audience has to get comfortable with this idea of being advertised to. If you're not going to pay for an event, you're going to get ads, right? And I think you guys do a really good way of keeping that pretty authentic. It's an ad, but kind of deal with it like it's an ad.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some lessons learned at that event. We learned about some stuff with on-stream promotion and how much people really don't like it, and in terms of literally putting services and stuff on the screen and breaks. So a lot of lessons learned, but I think what you nailed the nail on the head with that video is for us, we're always going to be trying new things, whether that's new content. I mean, we released an announcement video with Colin not wearing pants for professional $3 million tournament. Stuff like that. We're always going to push the boundaries on content, on advertising, on anything we can really. And if it doesn't work, which it certainly is not always going to, we have to have some kind of plan there for to make people happy. So that video, I think is just a testament to our, at the time actually our content team was a lot smaller, although the person who filmed that video now actually works here anyway. So he was a freelancer back then and now works here full time. So yeah, I don't know, it's a lot of lessons learned, and we've certainly toned down a lot of the promotion during the summit since then. In terms of the stuff that we do on stream. And to be honest, it also depends from game to game. Smash players and the Smash community are in general a lot more willing to hear about some stuff like that, just because they seem to be a more altruistic community in terms of they're willing to support the community. Mango, the Smash community in general, just a second to talk about them, are pretty insane. You look at a stream like Mango, he normally gets 2,000 viewers, but he has 4,500 subs. Which is not really heard of in the Twitch sphere. Normally,
not the normal ratio.
Normally, your viewer to sub ratio is the other way around. And stuff like that is pretty incredible. So a little bit different expectations for each scene. The Dota scene has come to really expect these advertisement-free events because all of these Valve events have absolutely no ads at them, even though they're $3 million, $20 million tournaments. So they have really unrealistic expectations about what goes into paying for these events and stuff like that. So I think there's a bit of an expectations gap there in different scenes, but we are definitely taking steps since then to work on that kind of stuff.
How are you guys kind of working in the tournament scene right now? As you said, a lot more events are coming up. A lot of the stadium events is kind of the go-to, but just in general, esports is getting flooded with new events, right? There's a shit ton of CSGO every week, basically.
People are talking about burnout.
Some people have talked about burnout recently. And I mean, even Dota is the same. There's a lot of other events for that. A league you can't even really get into. FGC, I think, is the next kind of big up-and-coming thing. You're seeing Turner branch into that. I know you guys have done a couple summits now for it. How do you guys kind of deal with that? Do you think the novelty of the house approach is enough? I mean, personally, as Ryan said, we kind of getting to see the personality side of the players, where you don't get to see that with the professional, the overproduced, I guess, stuff. But how do you guys kind of fit into the scene in the long term?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly something that we've always been aware of, that, in general, I think the summits are, I know that the summits are priced lower than a lot of these stadium events are. And part of that is by design, because we do think that players do place a lot of value on knowing that when they come to our event, they're not going to have any problems. They're going to just sit down, play whatever game it is they're here to play for 4 days straight, and not really have any problems that they have to deal with, not have any fans they need to get bothered by. It's just them, their friends, their pro friends who they get to hang out with in a house for a couple days. So I think there's definitely, we have definitely placed like some value on that for the players and the teams. The summit for a lot of Dota teams is a bit, it's kind of like a scrim environment because they're all just sitting around, team set up here, team set up here, team set up here, so they can just walk around to each other and practice. So, for each game, it's a bit different, but, for Smash, it's like, it's the premier event, it's the other way around. And a lot of that is through the crowdfunding of the event, but, we had the biggest Melee singles prize pool in history. And it's interesting, I talked to some of the players, they're like, this does not feel like a tournament that is the biggest one we've ever had. And for some of them, it actually makes it really hard to compete. I was talking to Hugs, and he said, for the first 2 days, I was not in competition. I was not ready to play. So there's some stuff that comes along with it as well, especially when the Smashers, I think, take a look at that event as a much more enjoyment opportunity than the Dota players. When the Dota players come to the house, they do tend to just basically play Dota.
Yeah.
Smash players, they socialize, they really enjoyed everything. So part of it is that it is the house. We have adjusted the prize pools a bit for some events. The CSGO event will almost certainly have an increased prize pool over what people are used to seeing for the Dota Summit. Part of that is out of necessity, for sure.
So I mean,
it is a problem for us, but I don't think we have to. We're never going to compete on prize pool.
Yeah.
Basically, it's these stadium events because we don't have to.
But I mean, let's go there. I mean, we're super excited about this CS Summit that Beyond the Summit is throwing. Can you tell us some more about this? Sure,
yeah. I mean, basically, we have decided that we needed to branch out in as many games as possible. We have the Dota Summit, which I think we have pretty much perfected, and then we picked up the Smash Summit, which I think is in a similar place in terms of the execution of the event's really smooth. So we basically just decided that we wanted to expand a bit more, and Counter-Strike was kind of the natural next game. The game after that is certainly not as obvious, but basically we basically just want to expand as much as we can in as many ways as we can. So the ways we've been doing that are adding more games to the summits. We have built out a lot of capabilities at our studio, so we're doing a lot more publisher activations. We did the H1Z1 King of the Kill thing for Amazon a couple weeks ago. So that's basically the motivation, and also just using that house more. I mean, we have that house year round. We pay for it every month, no matter what. So you getting a little bit more use out of it is basically the goal. We do think that there is absolutely a limit for this type of event. I mean, we can't have an event like this every 3 weeks for a game, A, for logistics reasons, B, for, fans getting bored of it. We want these events to always feel special, even though, we're going to be on the Summit 7 or whatever. We still want it to feel like a special event. So a bit more about the CS Summit. It's April 19th to 23rd. We have announced quite a few of the confirmed teams. I'm just going to check our Twitter so I don't really anger our social media team here anywhere.
I mean, if you wanted to give us something exclusive that nobody else, that I'm not going to fight against that.
That's fine too.
Yeah, I'm not going to say no.
I'm sure you guys would have absolutely no problem with that. Well, I will just say, so the teams that have accepted that we've announced are SK, Optic, Cloud9, Envious, and Gambit. There are 2 other teams, one of which I'm not sure has been announced, one of which I know hasn't, and then we start kind of finalizing the last slot.
Just give us the first 4 letters of one of those teams.
First 4. Oh yeah. Well, they're I'm not doing it. But we also definitely have tier 1 talent coming for this event. I don't want to say much more beyond that, mostly because it's not all finalized completely yet. But we're bringing in talent. We are bringing in observers as well. So it should be viewership experience in terms of what's actually on stream. That people have been used to for the Smash or for any CS:GO tournament in terms of in-game quality of observing, instant replays, stuff like that, and also obviously the entire Summit component, which is having players on the couch, which to my knowledge at least has not really been done much for Counter-Strike. I know there was one small event, but sort of not on the same scale as what we're doing for the CS Summit, or at least with the similar team list. So I'm really excited personally. I think we have really, really good teams. I mean, I can't wait to see C9 on the couch. I think nothing is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, it's I'm personally really excited. So there's a bit more info about the event. It should be extremely fun. I think like it's something that the CS scene has not really had. So I'm interested to see how they embrace it. You know, how they like our content, because you know it's just something they're not really as used to. So.
Now, Greg,
Greg's so laid back about it. Like I'm fucking excited.
Yeah.
Ryan's amped. We gotta like settle him down out here. The last time I saw him this excited, we were talking about porn. So you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
True.
Greg, right before we let you go, you seem to have a really good grasp on the different communities that you guys serve. So I want to get you to just give me the average CSGO fan versus Smash fan versus Dota fan in a nutshell.
Oh yeah, no, this is gonna get him
I've actually
shanked.
talked about this all weekend. I've been
wow.
talking to Smash players. This is it's not about the fans, but about I'll give you the players.
Oh,
This works for me.
too.
I wanna-
That works too.
Let's get. So he's doing this to the people that are going to be closer to him. He's putting himself more out there here.
If I know people, I'm okay with flaming
Yeah.
them. You know, I don't want to flame like the unknown person on
Yeah.
the internet. So Smash players are basically like the homies. You know, they're like the guys where you know if you got super drunk, you would want them to take care of you, or they'd probably be puking with you. You know, like they're the homies. They're great to party with.
Yeah.
Super fun time. I think the Dota players are honestly, they're all gonna hate me for saying this. They're all the stereotypical nerds. I swear to God.
Hey, we tried to do stuff with those guys.
In my experience at Summit events, the vast majority of them never really leave their computers. They mostly just scrim and play.
So I'll
and
say this so you don't have to, but like we were at a couple of the Summit events with you guys, right? And it would be the after party time, and like we'd crack open like a couple beers to celebrate, and you'd go upstairs, and half the Dota players were on their computer playing Dota games again,
Yeah,
and
so
like
for
other half of them were back in the hotel.
Last night for the Smash event, I went out and bought a full keg. You know, there's only 16 Smashers. I figured a full keg, like that should be plenty, right?
Yeah.
That's like 160 beers gone in 2 hours.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Of course. I mean, when you get into it, I mean,
Can't explain that.
No,
Can't explain that.
maybe you can. I mean, the Smashers are the type that are knee to knee, 6 feet away from a television. Like those guys are
They're just
socialized.
trash
It's all social, yeah.
video
Versus-
games with 15-year-old controllers wrecking their heads.
Yeah.
That's Smash.
Versus, I guess like people who are in like Dota are usually like in their basements by
obviously,
themselves.
Obviously, it's because of the environment, right?
Yeah,
the Dota
yeah.
players are playing for $20 million. The Smash players are playing for like $20,000. But
Okay,
still, you know,
gotta hear the CS:GO now.
I was going to say,
Gotta
I
hear the
do want to
CS:GO.
hear about the CSGO.
They're and I have much more limited experience with CS:GO players, but I have hung out with quite a few of them for a while. And for me, they're like the jocks of esports. You know, they're like the cool guys.
We've had the
They've got
same
lots of
conversation.
guys, lots
Yep.
of muscles. They've got fucking Freakazoid who could break you in half.
There you
know,
go.
Like,
So you won't have to lift any kegs, is what you're saying.
Nice.
yeah. I think they'll be more receptive to the keg lifestyle than the Dota
Keg
players.
lifestyle.
Too busy doing push-ups.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
it. No, they'll do it in between. That's a keg stand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need everybody to
Yeah,
hold you. You're just doing it
Well,
yourself,
because-
pumping it up.
Yes, on top of the keg, exactly.
I like that.
All right. That's awesome. Guys, I think we can all concur with that.
Do you concur?
I concur. That's his word of the day. calendar.
Does that mean I'm the Dota player of the group?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
All right.
Except for prize pool, you got more money. Hey,
Yeah.
you independent.
There you go. It's not
Greg, on that note, thank you so much for joining us here on the Score Esports podcast. It was a blast talking to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Greg.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Take care.
All right.
So, do you want to wrap it up, Colin? You just gotta
I-
look at us awkwardly.
Yeah,
Well-
I actually like the awkward pause though.
Yeah.
If we could extend that for another 30 seconds, that would be ideal.
I just wanted to say that if I had to party with any one of those 3 cohorts, I want to party with the CSGO people.
You would not fit in, man.
Why not? Why not? Yo,
Once a nerd, always a
Pasha,
nerd. Who are you
right here. Maybe we could do some curls.
in the gym.
Yeah. All right. On that note, come on. You guys are always busting my balls over this stuff. Betting pennies. All right. I can hang out with the Smashers, though, for sure.
Just shut it down. Just
Yeah,
shut it
we're
down.
done.
You're not
We're
gonna dig
done.
your way out of this
Yeah.
hole. Not this week.
Week 4, that's a wrap.
Notebook is closed, people. That means the podcast is over. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to check the VOD when we're all wrapped up here. If you joined us halfway through, for Ryan and Kyle, I am Colin saying until next time, GG.
Don't
Later.
say GG for me. I don't say GG.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means. Why don't you say GG?
it's not. It wasn't a good game, man. It wasn't even a game. We ain't playing here.
Oh, he's toxic. It wasn't GG.